this special memorial panel. Before I do the tough task of doing the vote of thanks, I just want to open the floor and ask if anybody in the audience would like to come up and say a few words in memory of Preet, just for a minute or so.
Dave.
You take the mic. You
have the mic.
Ma'am, can you give him the mic from there, sir? Switch it off.
Well, Preet was a good friend and a colleague from the time that she joined IHD, and it's difficult to come up here for the third time and say something about her. But she worked very meticulously in the work she did. I remember particularly her work on child labor, where she disproved the notion that there are these so-called nowhere children, and her point was always that these nowhere children are actually at work. And she did by a very large study which she carried out. Another thing which we often discussed in the way that Padmini mentioned, that there's a lot of things that don't get captured by large-scale data, which tend to average out little changes that are and hide changes that are actually taking place in the margins, and that therefore it is necessary to go to these marginal places where change is occurring in order to be able to capture what could become a trend, but then to be able to look at it and not just stick to the big data that we have, the NSS, etc., which don't show these little changes which are taking place. So it's a great privilege to come up here and speak again about Preet, and I hope we will continue to do that as we continue to have other memorials, not in this way, but continue to honor her memory through the work, through the fellowships, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Remembering Preet, I'd like to present to you some of my own personal experiences. I knew Preet for almost 29 years as a senior first, a dear friend, and over the past years, she had almost become very close to me, that in her passing away, I felt as though I have lost part of my soul. It's been 3.5 months, but I have not yet come to terms with it, and I'm not sure whether I would ever come to terms with it. It is difficult to also believe that she will not be here with us at the society gathering of the ISLE, not only this year, but in the years to come. A lot has been said about Preet since the past few months, her ever-enduring bright smile, sensitiveness, humanness, her gentleness as a person, her thoughtfulness, her kindness, and her warmth. But the list can be quite never-ending because she had a lot of very fascinating, interesting qualities. She was fond of people, and she was always there for everyone. It did not matter to her whether she knew them or not. She was there. If they had a problem, she would hear to them, and she was always consoling, soothing, trying to understand what the issue is and helping them solve them. She guided a lot of people, and I think that is something that we are all going to truly miss, and I think many of us have experienced this. What was very fascinating about her was that she never spoke ill of anyone, and what I liked most about her, watching her over almost 3 decades of her life quite closely, was she would always find beautiful, nice things about every person she met. Even if she was critical, she was very measured and balanced, and always reasoned as to why they behaved they did, coming from their experience or whatever the problems they had. She strived for peace wherever she was, and she made everyone feel comfortable. It was a delight to have discussions with her, and she made no one comfortable, even in open, heated discussions and debates. This is something that I would treasure with myself all my life. ISLE was where we met regularly over the past 17 years, spending nights walking around, having morning teas, discussing our personal and professional life, and would engage in discussions in a wide range of topics. I always looked forward, and it was a delight for me to spend the time with her. ISLE will no longer would be the same for me, and she will be missed. She had a great mind that would dissect the most intricate and well topics with precision and insight. Her gentle manner was a contrast to the fierce and fearless mind that she spoke of so clearly about the paths towards a just society. Her passing away is an immense loss to the institution that she served, to her friends and colleagues, to her family. No words can express our sorrow. And it also leaves a huge vacuum, not only in the academic world, but also in the development world. Preet distinguished herself in her scholarship, and I think others have spoken about it, and her contributions have largely been to gender studies and as well as child welfare, education, and a number of other areas. And all of this will remain quite invaluable. I think the two works that I would like to mention that have brought her to quite a bit of limelight and that would be used in the coming years are her work on gender biases and discrimination against women. What do different indicators say? This was something she was very fascinated about, and she worked relentlessly towards it. And the other one was the significance of gender-related development indicators. These were issues which were very close to her heart, and she had a joy on working on these issues. And this fascinating lecture, delivered by the Advocate General Indira Jaisingh on violence against women in workplace, is actually in celebration of her memory. As a dear friend of mine, I had over the past years been thinking about actually donating some money to the Indian Association of Women's Studies to do some work on gender issues. And with her passing away, I decided, and I had chats with Ritu Divan, who was a president of the IAWS, that I'd like to constitute this fund in memory of her. And this is a fund which would be a 2-year process where we are going to open call for proposals from young scholars, not only researchers, but even activists from different fields and also practitioners from NGO and other organizations, to actually submit proposals on issues that would be picked up. And after hearing to Indira Jaisingh and to the panel, I think it would be quite apt to have the issue that should be focused on violence against women at workplace. And this is an issue that is also being taken up at the international level. So we would be announcing this entire fellowship in the IAWS in the next round. And there would be a committee of members. The committee consists of 4 people. As we haven't got approval from all of them, we would await the announcing of the names. The proposals would be actually vetted by the committee, and there would be a small funding that would be available to the scholars to undertake the field work over a period of 1 year. And based on the field work, there would be a paper which we written and submitted to the committee members for their comments, and the papers would then be presented at the next IAWS. So this is a 2-year planning that we have as a process in memory of her to carry forward the work that she had been doing. Thank you very much.